What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? This is going to be your review for Greenleaf Season 3, Episode 5. So here you go. First of all, before I get started, I want to give a shout out to Random TV Reviews because when I was looking at y'all review last week and y'all were talking about the look between Rick Fox and not Cora, Rochelle, Miss Cross, and y'all were like, you think that they in cahoots? I said, you know what? I never thought of that. And I went back and looked at it again and I was like, yes. So I absolutely believe that now. And I believe that when Gigi asked him to do the background check, that's why everything checked out. Because and he was like, oh, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. She is who she says she is. Because he in cahoots with her. And by Rick Fox staying close to Gigi, he knows all the ins and the outs and what's going on with the family. And can report that back to Rochelle. Yep. Makes sense. Thank y'all. Boom. So, the episode starts off with Cora. That's why Cora's name was on my mind, I guess. Clara, not Cora. Clara letting them know that she can't get him the money. Now, here's my thing. She done told May she can't give the money because rumor going around town that y'all getting ready to get a divorce and I just can't in good conscience give my money to a church that's getting ready to have a divorce, the bishop. But then she told him that her money manager just wasn't recommending it because it's a personal loan, it wasn't a church business, so forth. So May and Bishop are arguing. And May is like, well, this is all your fault. You did this. And he was like, whoa, 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 whoa. You was spending the money just like I was spending the money. She was like, but yeah, you told me it was good to go. He said, well, your brother said it was. So, of course, she was like, well, your brother, well, neither one of y'all handled it. Basically, neither one, y'all both messed it up. She said, Bishop, why don't you, it's time for us to just let the church know what's going on. He was like, what you mean? We need to just let them know that we're getting divorced. And then you can step aside and I'll take over. And then I can raise the money for the IRS and you won't have nothing to do with it. You be in the free and the clear. Bishop was like, what? Come again? She said, you heard me. You know I've always had a calling on my life. God called me and I put that aside for you. He said, yeah, and for Tiffany and for Louis and for, Chanel. She said, Bishop, that's my final offer. You step aside, let me take over. He said, May, let me explain something to you. If we get divorced, the only person that will be exiting will be you. And then he hit her with, it's just nature's way. So, I know she didn't think he would be like, oh, okay, you can have the church. Like, I'm pretty sure she had to know that he wasn't going for that. So then we see May is getting in Zora's ass. She done got Zora up at the crack of dawn to do Bible study, honey. Zora is not having it. She listening. She ain't talking back to her grandmama the way she was playing with her parents. She know better because I think she would be looking for her teeth. Then we see Gigi and Charity. Charity's home, but she pissed. And what happened was the police did actually arrest her, but Gigi convinced Kevin not to press charges. And so Gigi's checking on Charity, and Charity is like, it's all your fault. You should have just stayed out my business. I'm like, how the fuck does everything become Gigi's fault? You steal I guess you didn't steal your child, but you take your child across state lines after your ex-husband specifically told you not to do it and told you that if you did it, he was going to get you arrested. He was going to call the police because that's a violation of the custody agreement. He told you that. You did it anyway. When he was calling you, trying to talk to you, you hung up on him. You wouldn't answer his phone calls, and you hung up on him. But somehow it's Gigi's fault? Y'all, they good for beating up on Gigi. And I'm like, how the fuck did that ever become Gigi's fault? She should have just stayed out of it. Gigi was like, I'm the one that convinced him not to press charges. Well, not before I was handcuffed. I was at the Four Seasons. Well, bitch. You should have been at the Four Seasons in downtown Atlanta and you wouldn't have to worry about getting arrested. How about that? Anyway, so Charity mad. She done came across some oxycodone that she had. Now, why it was in the baby's diaper bag, I don't know. I ain't going to go down that road. I'm going to leave that one where it is. But she had some oxycodone. that eventually she ends up taking. Now we're gonna get back to Charity with the oxycodone. We're gonna get back to that in a minute. So back at the church, um, the bishop. Let me make sure I didn't miss nothing. Okay. Okay, before we get back to the church, let's talk about Tasha and Miss Cross and Rochelle. They setting up Jacob. We knew it was leading to this. Now we see where the chess moves were being made, where they had to get rid of the accountant because so Tasha could take over, so Tasha could be in charge of the money, and how Tasha had to gain Jacob's trust because now Tasha's getting ready to get Jacob to basically sign up a bunch of paperwork, which one of those papers is giving them permission to open up a bank account, which is of course they're going to use to show that Jacob is embezzling money from the church, and somehow they're going to connect the bishop to it as well as Jacob, and basically kill two birds with one stone. Now, I have my prediction on how this situation is going to end, and I'm going to remember to say it at the ending because I don't want to say it now in case people don't want to hear what my prediction is, and that way you can stop the video. But I have a prediction on how this is all going to play out. But Tasha is starting to get a little cold feet because she's really starting to genuinely like Jacob. Like, she really genuinely likes Jacob. And I don't think that she feels like Jacob, like, I believe that she understands that Jacob is wrong. I mean, that the Greenleafs are wrong for what they did to Rochelle's father. But I guess her thing is Jacob ain't had nothing to do with that. But Rochelle is like, all the Greenleafs need to fall. So, then we get back to the church. Okay, now we back at the church. So a couple of things happen when we get back to the church. So Bishop talks to Percy. Percy says, look, he said, Percy, you had some tax problems a few years ago. What did you do? He said, look, sold some stuff, got rid of some stuff, raised some money, pinched some pennies. I had a lawyer who worked out an agreement with the IRS, and they got me, but I just had to work it off. He said, but I ain't owe this kind of money. Like, basically, I owe probably about $50,000-$60,000. I didn't owe $2 million. And so he said, you need to call up that Miss Cross lady, which sort of made me think, is he part of the setup too? Because why out of all the options that the bishop would have, are you going to bring up somebody that he just met a couple of months ago? Like, y'all been friends for 50 years. You mean to tell me you didn't think there were any other options other than her? And how you even know anything about her? And the bishop said that. He was like, why would you bring her up? How do you know? Well, I Googled her, and she got it going on, and she's even into cryptocurrency, which is hot now, and she probably got the money. Why you want? And I just thought that was really weird that out of all the options, that's the option. Anyway, I thought that was a little So then we see where May. Oh, and the bishop said, look, I ain't going down that road. That's a hot tamale. That's a hot button issue. I ain't going down that road. Just give me the number to your lawyer. So then we see where May has a conversation with the head of the deacon board. And she's basically trying to tell them that she wants to take over the church. And what's that woman's name? It's Claire. What's that one? Claire is the lady with the money. Anyway, y'all know who I'm talking about. I wrote her name down, but now I can't find it. But y'all know who I'm talking about. So, she says, May, we went down this road before. You ain't taking over this church. Like, we've already had this conversation. We're not revisiting it. You are not. Like, if the bishop steps down because of the situation with the IRS, you going with him. She said, and we just need to find an uninterested party. And so, of course, May was like, and who would that be? Grace. So, y'all know that Mama done got her panties all in a twist, and she goes to Grace. Grace said, look, I don't want the church. I told him I didn't want the church. Why are you tripping? Well, did you make yourself clear? Because they seem to think that you will take over. Grace was like, look, I don't want the church. I don't know what else you want me to say. I don't know how else you want me to say it. I don't want this church. Maybe someday I'll have my own, but this ain't it. This ain't my church. So then she goes back to the head of the deacon board and is like, did you tell my mama that I was going to take over this church? You know my mama crazy. And she said, look, you're not my first choice either. However, if we're going to save Calvary, this is what needs to happen. And if you are interested in saving Calvary, then you will make sure that you you fall in line. Like it's either basically it's either this or we have to bring in a stranger or maybe even close the doors of the church. So you make up your mind what it is that you want to happen. So you see Grace sort of kind of coming around to it, and they start talking, negotiating. Well, if I take over the church, this is what I would like to see, and these are types of things. So Grace is sort of warming up to the idea. But again, what option did she have? The other option was closing the church altogether. So we see Sophia. Sophia's running. She's coming back off of a jog, and she sees she's having these pains, like she's doubled over with pain. I thought it was an appendix. We'll get to the whole situation, but I was like, oh Lord, this baby having some, some appendix issues. She's going to have an emergency surgery. I saw the emergency surgery coming. I just thought it was going to be her appendix. Bishop ends up going to Miss Cross. Honey, then Miss Cross had told Tasha when she was talking to Tasha, oh, he's going to come and he's going to come begging, and I'm not going to make it easy for him. And that's exactly what she did. She gave him the blues. She said, why would I help you? After the way you treated me, do you think that I would help you? You think I would give you any money? I mean, she gave him the blues. Treated him like pure deep dirt on the bottom of her shoe, honey. And then told the doorman in the building, if he comes back again, don't tell me about it. And told the bishop he was excused. Honey. She played that. She played that. She played that. Tasha tried to get Jacob to sign those papers, and she went in there, and Jacob was playing chess with his son, and they were having a good time, and she just saw the moment between Jacob and the son and thought it was so touching and so moving, and she was just like, yeah, I can't. She couldn't do it. She told him, because she had the papers in her hand, he was like, are those for me to sign? And she said, no, I was just complaining, about the heat was too high in my office or something. She made up some lie, whatever. And he said, well, I'm going to handle it because you are family. And I mean, he didn't know what he was doing, but he was really like, landed on really thick. You are family, and family takes care of family. I got your back, and I'll make that phone. We're going to get you, whatever. So, Kevin comes to pick the baby up, and of course Charity's a bitch, because it's everybody's fault except for Charity's. Everybody's fault except for Charity. And there's a part of me that feels sorry for Charity, because Charity is sort of like I said in last week's episode, Charity was gone for weeks and nobody seemed to notice nor care. Like, if it wasn't for Kevin looking for the baby, I don't think they would have even realized that Charity wasn't really on tour, that she was lying. Like, nobody gave a damn that Charity wasn't even at the house. And they were having this big event, and her name never even came up. So there's a part of me that understands that Charity really is like the black sheep type thing. But then there's another side of me that's like, but Charity, in this situation now, boo. Boo. But she's heartbroken. Jabari played the shit out of her. She feels like Kevin then found love before her. It's a lot. It's a lot. So anyway, and she goes, and I already told y'all, she goes and she gets high. So we see Sophia and Zora. Sophia is really trying to make peace with Zora, invited her to go out to Zaxby's, and Zora is being a bitch. She's being what Zora is. She's a bitch, and she's not forgiving Sophia, whatever. And Sophia's like, look, I ain't really trying. You ain't really my best friend either. You ain't my cup of tea either, but I'm trying with you, bitch. Basically is what Sophia said. And then she starts having these pains again. Zora talking about, so what's wrong with you? She's like, I don't know. I just been having these pains. She was like, oh, well, that's what you deserve. And walks off and leaves her there. Well, they end up taking Zora to the emergency room, and come to find out the baby has her ovaries are twisted. As soon as they said that, I knew what was going to happen. And they said her ovaries were twisted, and she had she had to go in for emergency surgery. And when the doctor came out, he explained that she had fibroids that had grown, and her ovaries were twisted, and they were mangled so bad that they couldn't save them. And now Sophia has lost her ovaries, and she will never have children naturally. And it was a horrible, horrible situation. But let's rewind. I went ahead of myself. I didn't really mean to. So while the baby's in surgery, let's talk about all the things that happened at the hospital. Okay. Number one. May was the one that actually took Sophia to the hospital, and she called Gigi was with her boyfriend. She was with Rick Fox, Darius, and she called while they were there talking or whatever, and they were basically talking about taking over the church. And she asked him, "Well, would you think you could ever be a first gentleman? You think you could ever be a first? I don't want to use the term first G, but first gentleman of the church?" And he was like, "I don't know, I don't think so." And she was like, "Okay, well, eventually I do want to have my own church, and I need to be with somebody that's what they think that's something that they could do, because that's what I'm trying to do with my life." And so I think she started to realize that maybe this ain't gonna be what she wanted to be. But he been telling you all along. But again, if he's stringing her along just so he can stay close for the purposes of sabotage, then that's where we are with that. Then Charity ass is high as a motherfucking kite. I mean, she is high. She can barely walk. She got on this sweatsuit. Honey, she look a mess. She looks a mess. And she tell it, and so May wanted to come back, and Gigi told her, "Oh no, I got this." Cause her and Gigi, they still on that shit. She still ain't even speaking to Gigi, and she like, "Yeah, no, I got it. That's my daughter. I'm handling. I'm good." So she asked, Gigi, and Charity, talking about some girl. Don't worry about it. I've lost. If you going, don't worry about it. If you lose a daughter, I know what that feels like. I help you through it. I've been there, girl. I've been there. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with her? Talking about something. If you lose your daughter, what the fuck is wrong with Charity? So of course they're like, have you been drinking? Like, go get you some water, Charity. Go sit your ass down. Charity's like, what? What's the problem? What's going on? So then, Zora and her father are talking, and of course Zora is playing the "woe is me, y'all put me out, y'all did me wrong" type shit. And her father was like, "Well, you didn't want to follow the rules, and you know that we didn't put you out. You know that we are trying to help you." And he's trying to talk to her, and she almost for a minute looked like she was going to open up to him a little bit, but then Mama walked up on him. And when Mama walked up on him, then of course she went back into woe is me mode. And her mother was like, "Look, you can come home anytime you want. Like, the doors," because she really didn't want to send her there to begin with. So she's like, "Look, if you're ready to come home, you can come home. Like, the door's open, your house, your room is ready. Like, we will take you. That's not a problem." And she was like, "Nah, I'm good." And she walks off. But I do think she was going to open up to her father about just some stuff. But at the end of the day, again, Zora, don't play victim now. You've been a bitch. You have been a bitch. So don't play victim now. You ran away from home. You were stealing money from the church. You were seeing this boy that beat your ass. And I understand that it's teenager stuff, but don't be mad at parents for being parents. Because if it was up to your mama, your ass would be in Oklahoma somewhere at a boot camp. So moving into a mansion with maids and servants and your grandparents really wasn't a bad consolation. In the meantime, Miss Croston sent a text to the bishop talking about something. "I was just mad. I'll help you get the money." Then Charity gonna roll up on Carissa talking about something. Y'all really messed that one up. Talking about Zora. Talking about y'all really screwed her life up. Carissa was like, "Are you drunk? What is wrong with you?" And she was like, "I'm just saying, like, you know, don't worry. Y'all got a second one. Y'all can do right by Woozy. Because y'all messed her up." So Carissa is like, what the fuck is wrong with her? So she asked Lady May, she like, has she been drinking? May said, I think she has. So she goes over, Charity goes over to the vending machine. She trying to get her whatchamacallit. It's stuck. And she's beating on the machine and everything. And Carissa is like, look, here's another $1. Just get you another one. She was like, no, I want that one. The one I paid for. I want my whatchamacallit. And she is banging on the machine, causing a scene. Carissa's trying to give her the money. Lady May done rolled up talking about something. You need to sit down. You need to sit down. Calm down, Charity. Calm down. Charity goes, she is yelling and screaming, talking about, no, I want my whatchamacallit. And she punches her hand through the glass. It's probably more plexiglass, but neither here nor there, to get her fucking whatchamacallit. She starts eating the whatchamacallit. Hand just a bleeding. She done cut her whole hand up, looked down on it, talking about somebody gonna need a lawyer. Bitch, I didn't know oxycodone did that. Like I said, when I had to take the oxycodone for my situation, I had a back spasms and they gave me oxy. It made me have um hallucinations and shit. I stopped taking them things after 2 days, but it didn't make me that. It didn't make me act like manic like that. So I'm like, who Charity, honey? She talking about somebody gonna need a lawyer. You bitch, you gonna need a lawyer. So we see Charity done got bandaged up. Now mind you, all this didn't happen while the baby's in surgery, right? Charity done got bandaged up. The bishop got a weight off his shoulders because he got the money, but he know he making a deal with the devil. Um, we got the Zora situation with her parents. So the bishop goes up to Lady May and says, look, baby, look. Can we just put all this behind us? Our children need us. Look at what's going on. Sophia's in surgery. Gigi is struggling. We got, a damn daughter that punched the hand through the damn vending machine. Can we put this behind us and come back together for our family? They need their parents right now. And Lady May says, you know what? You are right. They need their mother and they need their father. But they will never have their parents again. I said, ooh. Ooh. And Bishop is just like, damn, like his face. She said, I just can't. She said, I feel like if I take you back, that would be me turning my back on God's plan. Because this is what God wants for me. I said, oh, not turning your back on God's plan, would it? So, excuse me. So they all go to the chapel. And they all converge in the chapel where they're praying for Sophia. And it was a very touching moment because you see Zora, like all of them are in the chapel. And Charity actually goes up to Gigi. She actually gets, because they got her ass in a wheelchair. She gets out the wheelchair and she walks to the altar. And then she goes to Gigi and she sits down next to Gigi and she holds her hand. I guess that's her way of apologizing, I guess. I'm here for you, Gigi. Words unspoken type situation. And that's when we find out what happened to baby girl, where her ovaries are gone. And she will, because that's the other thing, her and the boyfriend made up. Y'all, I'm all over the place. I'm sorry. Her and Sophia and the boyfriend made up, and he told her he wanted to marry her, and that he was so proud, that he respected the fact that she really wanted to wait. I think he just saying what she wanted to hear because he's still trying to get them draws. He's a teenager, like he's a kid. That's what he wants. But he said it, and Sophia's like, when she was high off them drugs, about to go under the knife, she was like, we're going to get married, and he loves me, and all of that. But, of course, she wakes up, and Gigi has to tell her, baby, you're never going to have children. You're never going to have natural kids. She said, but you can adopt, and there are other things that we can do. And, of course, she's like, why me? Why would God do this to me? And see, this is where she's going to start having a questioning. Because, remember, Sophia has been all in on her faith. All in on her faith. And she has not wavered from her faith no matter what Zora said and other people have said to her and things that have gone on. But this, I think, is going to be what sort of makes her have a question of faith. And that's going to be a struggle for Sophia, I believe. And I hope that it doesn't make Sophia go in the opposite direction and turn into like another Zora type situation and start sleeping around and stuff like that. I really hope it doesn't do that. But she's definitely going to have some sort of crisis of conscience. Of faith. And then we back at Triumph. And Tasha, because Rochelle done told Tasha, if you don't get him to sign these papers, you ain't never going to see Basie again. And don't you want to see Basie? Because this is the only way Basie can come back. And if you don't get Jacob to sign these papers, then you are going to, it's your fault. It's going to be your fault that we don't get what we want and that Basie never ever comes back. So she gets Jacob to sign the papers, but you could tell that she ain't feeling it. She really ain't feeling it now. The question is going to be if she's going to give them to Rochelle or not. And I think she is. I think she's scared of Rochelle, to be honest with you. I think there's a part of her that's scared of Rochelle. So she's going to give them to Rochelle. Sorry, y'all. She's going to give them to Rochelle. And that is sort of where we end up. I want to make sure. Oh, last but not least, Bishop goes to Lady May And he says, this isn't what I want. And I've been clear that this isn't what I want. But since you insist, here is my statement that I intend to say in front of the church on Sunday. Go ahead, read it and proofread it. Add to it what you want. Take out what you may. And I don't know what it says, but immediately Lady May's pissed. Whatever it says, it pissed her off. And, he tells her, look, this ain't what I wanted. And she tells him, don't let the door hit you with the good Lord split you. Get your ass out of my office. So I don't know what that statement says, honey, but whatever it is, it done pissed May off. But I'm sure it says, I'm going to stay on as pastor and Lady May is going to be going back to seminary school or whatever. I'm sure it says something to that effect. Now, if you don't want to know what my prediction is, go ahead and stop now because I'm going to tell y'all what my prediction is to how this is going to break down. This is what's going to happen, in my opinion. Lady May and Bishop are going to come back together when they find out what Rochelle... They're going to find out that Rochelle, Tasha, probably even Darius, are in cahoots and coming for them. And here's the thing. Y'all know that Lady May's done with Bishop. She don't care about Bishop. But she care about Calvary and she care about Jacob. And the fact that they coming for Jacob now, and as a side note, Calvary, that's where Lady May is going to get back on board. Her and Bishop are going to team up. It's going to be like old times. They're going to come for Rochelle. They're going to come for Tasha. They're going to come for Basie. They're going to come for Darius. And when it's all over, said and done, and the dust settles, they're going to be back together, honey. Because I'm telling you, enemies, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. They might be, Lady May pissed off and done with Bishop right now, but when she realizes how Bishop was really being set up and manipulated, and the whole IRS situation was a ruse, and the money piece and stuff. Don't get me wrong, Bishop was still stupid, but he never slept with her. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see how it break down.